Hey guys, I'm Danny.
And I'm EJ, and this is the Your Living Proof podcast,
where we talk about addiction and how it affects the family, from the brutal to the beautiful and everything in between.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast.
Hey guys.
My name's Danny. If you didn't know.
I'm EJ. Do you guys know what EJ stands for?
Emily Jane.
Do you know? Oh, Danny told you.
No, I just did.
Yeah.
Wait, did I ruin your thunder?
No, it's okay.
I just stole your thunder? Is that the right?
That's why I go by EJ.
She does.
It's my initials.
It's much easier. And look, I tattooed it on my finger. Can you see that?
You guys have to go to YouTube. YouTube's where it's at.
Actually, when we were dating, you know, we'd both been through broken roads before we found each other, and we won't get into that story now. But we were older, and we'd both gone through some amazing times and some difficult times in life. So here we are, we're like committed to each other, we're in love, we're talking about marriage. And one day we were just like out on a date or something. We walked past the tattoo parlor and she's like, I'm doing it. She goes and she did it first. She tattooed my initials on the inside of her finger.
I did.
And then I had no choice. I just had to
covered them up though.
Hers were tiny, and they started to bleed together, so she just turned them into two little hearts. I made them
into hearts. They're so cute now.
I've had several people tell me that's a red flag.
It is. It is a red flag.
Because mine is clearly visible. EJ. Hers.
Yeah. Mine could be anyone.
Hers were these two little tiny D's that now. Did you just say that?
Now they're just two hearts. Okay, so you just.
Wow. We have gone so far off subject. You guys, thanks for coming back to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. Take 2. Just kidding.
Yeah, we're still here.
That was fun. But this is episode 90. That's crazy. I can't believe it. That's a lot of time.
It's so awesome.
Couple arguments.
Such a good journey.
A lot of invested time and money into putting all these together. So those of you that have benefited from it, been following us for a while, thank you. And thank you for those of you who've shared this with somebody else who needs it. What is a real tragedy is how few resources are available for families.
Yeah.
There's a couple programs, you know, in the state of Utah where we live and throughout the country that do offer, they put resources out for families, but not enough. And it's very limited.
Are you talking about inpatient facilities?
Yeah, they do have some programs that they offer family education, right?
Yeah.
But it's the missing piece. This is the actual missing piece in drastically improving the number of people who recover from their addictions.
Yeah.
His family.
So we count on you, if you're listening, to share it, because we know probably everyone that you know needs to listen to at least one of these episodes.
Yeah, for sure. It's an issue it's affecting every single one of our homes. Nobody goes through life now without dealing with some form of addictions.
It's true.
Especially with technology and what we have. Oh my gosh. What these young people are facing, they don't even have to look for trouble. It's going to find them no matter what. So thank you for joining us again. Today's topic is amazing. It is the literal 5 things that every addict or alcoholic needs in order to have a chance at recovery. Plain and simple, the 5 things that everybody. Now, these addictions, again, could be sexual addictions. They could be illicit drug addictions, prescription medications, alcohol.
Gambling.
A lot of times people try to differentiate themselves with the type of addiction. They're poisons. All of them are poisons. And then over time, they rewire your loved one's brain and they become very sick. So most of you are listening in are probably concerned or have good reason about someone you love and you're concerned about. These are the 5 things, okay? Every family does in some way or another have this clinical uniqueness, right? Like that they can do things differently than everybody else. And it's not true. The path forward is the same for everyone, regardless of who you are, where you come from. So there are 5 things we're going to go through real quickly.
Yep.
But also, I want to just touch on something before we get started. Life's great right now. We're enjoying the tail end of summer. It's actually full-blown fall.
It's fall.
And
sadly.
Our daughter's involved in cheer. We got cheer competitions coming up, which is always fun. Football is still happening, coaching my son's team. But inside my program, there's a lot of families who are already facing a big fear, a big threat. Okay, it's already difficult when they have a loved one dealing with addiction. of navigating things,
Yeah.
making choices, putting boundaries in place, what we should or shouldn't do. And nothing tests that more, challenges that more than the holidays that are coming up.
Oh, amen. It's like the pit in everybody's stomach. It's like, I feel like there's two camps. Like there's people that are just so stoked, like counting down. They have a paper chain already going for Christmas. And then there's the other people that are like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of it? Because I don't want to see so-and-so, or I don't want to deal with this family gathering because of this person. Like it's just, it's hard.
A person's addiction over time changes them. It affects everyone in the family as well. And so you're all put in these situations that are magnified by the holidays of what's right and what's wrong, what I should or shouldn't do. So we actually, maybe this is me just holding myself accountable, should readdress this. We did an episode last year before the holidays on this topic, but
we'll do another one.
if this is something that you're concerned about, like, please know that everyone is. And what it requires is adhering to the principles that you learn about addiction and what your role is and isn't are just, they're actually most important in those moments. So let's get to these 5 things.
Yep.
Now, can I preface by saying these are just the facts, and it's unfortunate truth. It's unfortunate that this truth isn't just available to all families.
Oh, amen. Amen. Like, why is this such a mystery? There's 5 things that every addict needs if they want to have a chance at recovery. Like, why is that so hard?
Yeah, why is the family not being educated? And then let me also address one of the concerns that I hear a lot from people. Well, not everyone is fortunate to have a family. Not everyone has a family that is supportive or can help. I understand that. I fully understand that, and it breaks my heart because I've been in these places. I've been on the streets. I've been incarcerated. I've been through the court system. I've been in rooms of recovery all over for many years. And there are people who are trying who don't have a support group. There are, whose maybe family is toxic and they're alcoholics and they're abusive. I wish there was a one solution for everybody, but there's not. But for those people who do have a family, the family can look different. It can be strong. It can be small. It can be just you, whoever's listening. But for those people who do have a family, we've got to educate the family and empower them. So I hope these 5 things bring enlightenment and clarity to you about what they're going to need.
Yep.
Number 1, someone or something has to intervene.
Okay, what does that mean?
What that means is everyone's hope at some point, maybe it's yours currently, is that your loved one's going to wake up one day and magically take the wheel of their life again. That the consequences that are just piling up all around them are going to pile up high enough that they're going to do something different.
Yeah.
If you go to any treatment center, behavioral health facility throughout the country, you'll see that a majority of the people there are there because a judge has court ordered them. So something intervened.
Which is so sad. Like that would be like the worst case scenario, right?
A wooden mallet slammed and something intervened. There are there are 3 things that intervene. And there's only these 3 things. There's a judge, there's death, and then there's a family. Sometimes it's like an employer or something like that. So there's someone that intervenes, and it's going to either be you, a judge, or death. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
That is. It's very terrifying.
But I hope everyone can just come to terms. Like, we've got to improve as families, as communities, that understanding something has to intervene. Everyone of faith does the same thing at the beginning.
Yeah, they pray for the change to happen.
They pray.
They pray.
Like, to steal your words, they pray for their Red Sea miracle.
Yeah.
That this person will change. Now, I also will be realistic and say we all know, like, you've probably heard of that one person. You know somebody that maybe did. There are people who somehow on their own find a way out of this darkness. And if they're really lucky, like, find a chance to actually heal from it. Mm-hmm. But it is so rare. They are the 1 in a million. So don't look at that. They are the exception for sure.
Yeah.
So someone or something has to intervene. And I hope what that translates to, and we've addressed this topic in several podcasts in the past, stop waiting on a magical day when this goes away.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Because I feel like this is, I don't know, I'm maybe reading the audience's mind, but I feel like that's such a tall order. Like, that's such a hard thing to ask parents with adult children.
Or a spouse, right?
Yeah, but like, I think I mean, I was just talking to somebody this week that was like, they have a child that, has had some hard knocks, some hard things have happened in their life. And so it's kind of like they're okay with this now 34-year-old person living in their house, not contributing in any way, right? Like, they're not functioning. They don't have a job. They don't, but it's kind of like, they just feel like, well, it's just, what are we going to do? Like, I mean, maybe someday they'll get into trouble, and then they'll realize that, they want something different. I think they just feel so stuck.
They do feel stuck. And the reason they reached out to you is because it's already gotten bad enough that they're like, something's got to change. And this is where I just go back over and over to the same principles I've been screaming from the rooftops. What you know is the tip of the iceberg. You're already concerned. You know there's a problem. Maybe you've caught some things. You've seen some things, but you're like, it's not that bad. You know a fraction of what's going on. It is much worse. That's always the truth. And there's also the issue that we've addressed. One of our most popular podcasts was a long time ago. It was called Learning to Live with Diarrhea.
Yeah, I think
And
it was like the second episode.
Addiction takes the greatest of people, and what it does, it just lures them in and it sucks them into this insanity. So over time, you learn to tolerate, accept, and just become totally normal with diarrhea.
Yeah.
So I understand that's frustrating, and I also understand the concept that it's not fair, right?
I think that's the thing. Is like, speak to that person. Like, okay, so are you saying to that person, like, you have to intervene?
So 3 times in the last 24 hours, I've met with spouses, incredible people, doing all the things, raising the children, doing this, holding down the fort, contributing to the business. They're great people, but they're put in this situation. They're like, why do I have to do this? Because the alternative is you waiting for a sick person to go and magically heal themselves. It will not happen. So let's just all admit that it's completely unfair. It's backwards. You shouldn't be put in this situation when they're the ones who started with these choices and have now developed a disease in their brain. It isn't fair.
Yeah.
But we just have to come to this realization. People don't even get a chance at recovery until someone or something intervenes. Go ahead and wait. And that's probably a rude thing to just come out, but go ahead and wait. Because it will end up being something like a terrible accident or an arrest.
Or they overdose.
Or death. And that is happening all around us far too often. So that's number one. Let's just own it. Someone or something has to intervene. Stop waiting for that magical day when all of a sudden they wake up and realize, oh my gosh, yeah, look, I'm living like a crazy person and I need help. You have to intervene. And the way that's done isn't by yelling. It's done by having support, tools, and resources to put the boundaries in place so that you can get through to them. Number 2, structured programming. I think this is an easier term to understand than just saying rehab. Rehab itself has this terrible stigma around it. Behavioral health centers, facilities that address behavioral health have improved drastically. There's an abundance of resources. Now, are some better than others? Sure. But there are so many places out there. We use this word rehab and there's a stigma around it. There's even songs about it. They're not perfect places. They're full of imperfect people with people who are barely into recovery that are trying to help other people.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful. And they're exactly where your loved one needs to be to start this process. Now that's backwards also, because you think, well, our home, me, I'm awesome. This loving environment, this is where they need to start. And so everyone tries to do it on their own. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. They need to be in these structured environments. So number 2 is a structured program. Now, everyone makes the mistake of taking the path of least resistance. Most people I talk to, they're like, well, they've already tried this or that. They've seen a psychiatrist, or they did these online courses, or they did this weekend thing, this intensive weekend thing A lot of people are willing to put effort forward and they take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
We all do that.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with a person who maybe needs to lose a little bit of weight or who's trying to fine tune an area of their life that's like we're trying to help a person who's very sick with a fatal illness. That's what needs to be the terms used to speak the truth to these situations. That's not. They have a fatal illness right now.
Well, and I think when you say the path of least resistance, I'm thinking like they'll try like an outpatient program, right? Where they don't have to like be all in, right?
It's super convenient.
It's convenient. People don't even necessarily have to know. You could still keep your job, or if they had one, or something like in terms of that. It's not like they just like kind of disappear for 45 days and you're going to have to field questions, right? So that's what I think you mean by the path of least resistance. And I love that you're pointing that out, because you're totally right that like without a real deal all in structured program that is you're living there for 45 days, it's
yeah. And so let me
It's
just
not gonna
clarify
help.
that. Thank you for bringing that up. Number one, something or someone has to intervene. Cool. We moved on. Two is structured programming. What that really means is intensive.
yeah.
It has to be intensive. No matter what, everyone will always compare, well, they're not as bad as these type of people. Intensive, structured programming. And let me tell you the number one reason why. We need to remove the poisons from their system. Someone needs to be watching and monitoring them for many reasons. Psychological, physical, the dangers. There's a lot of dangers when people are withdrawing from these substances. They need to be in a structured environment where someone can watch and monitor them. We need to ensure these poisons have been removed from their system. Why? So that someone there can properly diagnose them, that we can look and see what medications are actually needed. This is what drives me nuts, is they need to be in these structured intensive programs because it's extremely uncomfortable. When you take away substances that people have been using for a long time, can you imagine? It's very terrifying. It's very uncomfortable. So they need to be in a structured, stable environment to begin. If they try to do this at home, they're going to be suffering in your care, and that's not fair. That's a lose-lose for everyone. So if you look at rehab, it's more like going to the ER. And people have too many expectations for rehab. Rehab is going to stabilize you. They're going to bandage the wounds. They're going to stop the bleeding. They're going to get you controlled. They're going to get you calmed down. They're going to properly medicate and diagnose you. And then the critical thing is what goes into number 3. So before we move on, I just want everyone to understand rehab is not perfect, but it's the perfect place to start this process. And then what's even more important, but you don't get number 3 without number 2. What's even more important is number 3, which is continued programming, aftercare, IOP, which stands for intensive outpatient. Some programs, the next phase is called PHP, which is partial hospitalization program. This is actually my favorite part of recovery. This is where I feel like the magic happens in this phase. But guess what? You don't get number 3 without number 2 or without number 1.
Yeah. I feel like that is where people want to skip to, though. Just like, we're just going to be like doing like drug tests at home and just kind of like moving forward. Like, you can't.
So the reason that fails is just practical. You could probably understand this, but let me just lay it out. If someone's been consuming alcohol or other drugs, and let's just get real, they all have sexual addictions too. They do. Every person. And you're going to say, oh, not my Johnny or not my person. Yes, they do. Cross addictions are a part of every person that falls victim to this disease of addiction. So whether they're acting out and sleeping with people or just doing it digitally on their phone, there's cross addictions of all natures, okay? So when you take these poisons away from people, they're agitated, they're irritable, they're uncomfortable. Now, if they are consuming illicit drugs and alcohol in large amounts, there's a risk of their health. Like they can die from the withdrawals. So they can't do this at home. If they do the convenient route and say, okay, I'm just going to stop and I'm going to go to outpatient 3 times a week, I understand that the intention is you're like, oh my gosh, you're so grateful that they're willing to get some help.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to do something. They're willing to do something. Let's go. Let's take it. It never works for anyone. Treatment centers will tell you that. They've actually changed now that they require most facilities require that they come to residential before, because otherwise it's just a revolving door.
Well, it's so interesting too. Like that's the point you get to. Like if you're in a relationship in any way with an addict, you just get you go through so much trauma and they break you down to the point where you would actually allow them to be the ones making the decision on what type of care they get, which is so messed up. Like in no way does that make any sense that they be in charge of like what they will or will not do. No, they're way too sick to be left to be the ones making the decisions here. That's not their job. Their job is to do what is required, and your job is to set those requirements.
When you just stated the obvious, and I think most people would agree, but when love is involved, when it is that person to you, they all make the wrong decisions. It's all foggy, and they make the wrong decisions because this didn't happen overnight. Over time, your love for this person transitioned into what's called codependency, and then transitions into enabling, and it's really hard to work out of that overnight. So please, let's just move on. Number one, someone or something has to intervene. Number two is structured intensive programming to start. And number three is continued care. Okay, now don't get worried about the logistics of the terms and IOP and PHP. After they have intensive programming, residential treatment, they transition. It's like if you left the ER, most people are going where? They have a plan in place to go to a physical therapist.
Yeah.
Let's start working through the pain. Let's start rehabbing. Let's start getting our strength back and making sure that we continue the care we need to get healthy again. So there's no surprise that that's needed. And here's the big mystery. Very few people will continue on.
Yeah, no, that's where they just all fall off the wagon.
They jump ship before they've had time to heal. Why? Because they actually do feel better. No one wants to keep doing this. It's like most of us that do diets or try to change our life in one way or another. We get to a certain point and we just kind of
You're like, I'm good.
I'm done. I'm better. Fine. You as a family have to learn how to effectively not only intervene, but continue to intervene over and over in this process. How to hold them accountable, how to continue to encourage them. Now, do you get to control it all? No, but you have a monumental influence on it.
And that is the sad part, is that I feel like there are exactly 0 families, unless they're inside of our program, that understand this number 3.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like, okay, wait, they're going to get out in 3 days. Like, what do I do? What do I do?
You have to hold a boundary and you have to do what's necessary. Whether you call it persuade, encourage, demand that they continue.
Yeah.
This isn't, we can argue this all day long, or we can just accept the fact that these are the things that they need to do so that you get your loved one back, so that they get a chance to heal, not just a couple days of being clean and then thrown back into the world. So I get so passionate about this because it's actually very simple. I've spent years meeting people that are 15, 20, 30 years into their recovery, and their addiction actually, through recovery, turned them into the best version of themselves. They all did the same thing.
Yeah.
They all did these same 5 things. Okay, now we've gotten through 1, 2, and 3. And number 4. Do we feel like it's time to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could go off on number 3 forever. Yeah. But number 4 is a changed environment at home. A family. Now, I understand family looks different. It could just be you and a spouse. It could be a large family. It could be an incredible family. It could be a single parent. It could be a spouse where most of the families kind of turn their back and you feel like you're alone. Home is home. Home is where your heart is. Home is your person. So I'm not talking about the actual structure, like, oh, we repainted the walls and we changed the family has changed. That's the most important. A mentor of mine and one of the greatest people in the behavioral health world said it best. And I've actually heard it stated by many different people in the industry over the years. Many people are fortunate to go to rehab or to go to some type of program, and they often get a little bit of help. But when those individuals return home to the same environment, very few, if any of them, stay in recovery. However, those people that go to a program, they get some tools, some help and support, and come home to an environment that is changed and improved, most of them recover.
And I'm going to just push you on this a little bit. I want you to speak to the families that say, we don't need to improve. We're actually great. It's them. The reason our family is struggling is because of them. So I don't even know what you mean. Like, what would we need to change?
It's a very valid point. Maybe you are living your life very well. Maybe there's very little to change about yourself and the things that are done and taught in your home. But what your loved one's addiction has done to you over time has abused you, manipulated you. It has basically forced you to blame it on things, to feel a certain way, to have certain fears, certain stigmas about this. Maybe the shift is just understanding clearly that your loved one has a disease, clearly what it's going to take for them to heal, clearly how you hold boundaries based upon your understanding of the situation, the support that you've got. But I would challenge you, I would challenge anyone, and that's a good question, to recognize the progression of your loved one's addiction, their illness, has also progressed in the detriment it's had to you in your home. There are relationships, believe it or not. If a family like you just described is saying this, there's for sure resentments with other children about how much time and energy's been sucked out by this one person.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe that's where there needs to be some improvement. The greatest way this changes, and gosh, there's lots of families like that in our program, and if you want to ask any one of them, please reach out to us and I'll share some of their information and you can ask them. They used this opportunity to educate their family about what was going on, how to put a plan in place for their loved one, and then they started their own recovery. And a lot of people at the beginning, that's so impossible to see. They're like, my recovery, I don't need to recover. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Through this tragic situation, they're able to do things by looking at themselves. Oh my gosh, you know what? This has actually affected the relationship with my spouse. We've kind of differed about how we've addressed this. It's affected the way I think. Sometimes it's affected people's faith.
Yeah.
Because they've been praying for so long and they didn't get that miracle.
Yeah.
So let's just own the fact that once you get through 1, 2, and 3, the fourth most critical thing is families that heal from this. That's why we're so passionate about this.
Yeah.
If you're able to get your loved one to a program, which I bet a lot of you would if we put a plan in place and you got some help, did the right things, but do they come home to a changed, improved environment, or do they come home to the same one?
Yeah. And I just want to say, because when you said that, it reminded me of one of the families. We just recently had a retreat with some of our community, and it was magical. And one of the quote, my takeaway for the whole weekend was this, one of the parents, it was a dad, and he said, the changes within us are the miracle that's happened in our family. Regardless of like their child and what they were dealing with their child, it was like the changes that happened within their relationship, like the spouses between each other and the other kids, were the miracle. The other things are just the bonus, right?
Yeah.
And it's incredible. And I think it's a really important thing to talk about because, again, it's the one thing that no one is telling you if you are dealing with this. No one is telling you, you need to look at your family and what's going on inside your home and address that before they come home. At least get a head start on it, right?
You get a head start on getting healthy, getting your house in order, working through your things, which is the same process they're going to have to go through. Maybe not quite as intensive, but it still is that critical. And you know what? When you said that, it's because it's not on anyone's radar. And why should it be at the beginning?
Right.
Someone you love is like running amok. Like the spotlight is crazy. It's like a circus.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, dude, now look at all they're doing. And it's so obvious. because we are so focused on that bright light on this person. And what that bright light does is put you and everyone else in the shadows behind, the darkness behind.
Yep.
And you've been affected. So that's just the fourth one. It's not my philosophy. Talk to any people in the industry, and they'll tell you when a person comes home from a program to an environment that's improved and changed, it's magical.
And I'll just say, and I'm going to toot our own horn, because I'll say those families that get enrolled into our program, they have it, and it is the most amazing thing. Like, we get to support them all through these massive changes. It's scary when your loved one comes back. Like, re-entry after rehab is no joke. And they get this constant support of talking about the things they're worried about, talking about the things they're facing, the difficulties that still exist that they're working through. I mean, it's so incredible.
When they take the chance to finally see and recognize how they've been affected and talk through that, what happens is it puts them they become a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
And they stop believing the lies and living in fear that the addiction has taught them. So I know it's a hard sell at first, and most people are like, no, I'm good. It's just this person. There is so much power. Of all the people in our program, about half of them that join instantly or very quickly get their loved one help they need. They start the process. The others put into place everything necessary, and they start working on themselves, and they're waiting for their loved one. But what a beautiful thing that while they're waiting for their loved one to start this process and offer and accept this gift that they prepared, they're changing home.
Yeah.
And one of them recently said this. I can't believe it. Of all things, it's an addiction that my son has that has allowed our family to take a look at things and to change ourselves in a way that we probably never would have. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And guess what? When homeboy decides to finally he's sick and tired of being sick and tired, he'll get help. They'll know exactly how to support him, and he'll come home to an environment that's changed. So number 5, last but not least, and we've done an episode on this by itself. The number one component to a person's long-term recovery and to healing is time. So number 5 is time. The difference between those that recover and those that stay stuck in their dysfunction are those that are willing to do what's required. And what's required is structured support for a long enough time to heal. Mm-hmm. Now, there's phases, right? You start out, it's intensive. And then the next phase, it's a little less intensive. And then gradually, as a person moves on, they may be going to meetings once or twice a week and working with a sponsor, engaged in work and back in school and whatever it is that life looks like. But they had enough time to work through it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. And that's what requires layers and layers of support. But it also requires a family coming to the realization of what it's going to take so they have conviction. That's what they're acting on, conviction rather than emotion. And they put the necessary boundaries in place. The elephant in the room is we don't get to control it, and it's not a guarantee. But if you do this, maybe the miracle is that you get to change the damage and heal the wreckage that's happened in your home, and that's it. But most often, because your loved one has a family, remember what we said at the beginning? The unfortunate thing is not everybody does.
Yeah.
They do. So let's come to the realization that you have got to intervene. Let's not wait for a judge or death. They've got to start with something intensive. And I know it's going to be a hard sell. They're never going to want to do it. No one ever has. No one's ever wanted to just show up and go to rehab. They're going to have to, and you're going to have to learn how to hold their hand to the fire to do so. And then learn what the next step is, how your continued encouragement will keep them into an aftercare program. And then those that do this find the humility to change and put their house in order to heal themselves. It's a beautiful thing. And hopefully by doing all of this gives your loved one enough time to heal.
It's so simple, but so hard.
Oh, it's laid out. It is what it is, and it's the same path for everyone. So no one's special. No one's unique. No one gets to do something. There's so many things out there. There's like, oh, just come do this 7 ketamine treatments and we'll cure everything. I actually saw an ad the other day. I couldn't believe it. A guy that said, in 2 hours, I will cure your,
Pornography addiction.
I was like, you fraud. That's the most ridiculous thing. There's going to be failure. There's going to be relapse. They need time. The only way you get time with the proper structured support is when a family can jump in, intervene, and hold you accountable. That's it.
Yep.
It's really sad. That's why so few people are recovering, is because good families are just sitting back waiting.
Yep. Well, because they don't know what to do. That's the truth. It's not because they really want to be in that place. It's because they don't feel like they have any other options.
Please share this with someone. And if you heard it and you felt it, please share it with your spouse or other people in your family so that you understand what these 5 things are that are needed. And then lastly, get yourself support. Allow yourself to get into a program. Ours would be the best. I'm not kidding, but there's others out there, even free programs for families.
Where?
Well, Al-Anon is one.
Oh.
It's a great place. Like our church has the LDS Family Services, has different family support programs. But you need to get your self-help and support. Mm-hmm. That's how we get your loved one the help they need and ensure that these 5 things happen.
Yep. I'm going to read the Serenity Prayer for families to close us
Let's
out.
do.
It is, God grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.